So my invitation to you is to maintain an awareness of that threshold, to constantly open yourself up to the newness of life that is seeking expression to you. And as you exit the doors today, to know that you are carrying the very essence of God with you out into the world. As you enter your homes, know that you are opening to something new and saying yes to each and every step of that journey. You are magnificent creations of the divine, and the world needs you to give full expression to that. You guys are rocking the house today. Thank you so much. There we go. You're rushing me. You all want to get out here. You're going to go play in the sun this afternoon, right? So I'm wondering, did any of you notice the little addition to the sanctuary on the floor as you enter? The threshold. Well, you know, some of you might have thought that Des was in some sort of creative renovation mode, but which she was, but it was inspired by the book Trusting Change. And we begin a series on that book today, and that series is also accompanied by several spirit groups, which I'm sure you can still join. And that's an opportunity to take this beautiful work deeper. So I invite you to join us in that journey together. The threshold at the back of the room was inspired by a story that Karen Herring tells in the book about a meditation center she started attending. And at the entry to the sanctuary, there was this gorgeous piece of Pippi wood, and it was 2 feet wide, so it was pretty large, and the wood was so beautifully polished, and so it felt so sacred to her that she didn't want to step on it. And she was, kind of trying to stretch across the threshold, and as she continued to attend this center, she noticed that other people were traversing it much more comfortably. And so she had a conversation with the center leader and asked about it. And he said, "Oh, we want people to step onto the wood. We want them to move across that wood, mindful, intentional, that they are entering a sacred space, a space of transformation, and we also want them to intentionally exit, knowing that they are entering something new, fresh, whole." So my invitation to you is that you use that little piece of wood, vinyl, in the same way, that you enter consciously and you soak in the love in this congregation. You enter into the teachings of unity, and as you exit, you're intentional about bringing them out into the world. We are on a threshold, every single one of us, as individuals, as a community, as a species. A lot has occurred in the past several years. A lot has changed. And all of us are still trying to find our way forward, to consider who we will be, what the world will be, in a world that in some ways we probably can't even recognize. And in the last few years, as I've worked with congregations, I have sat and held individuals as they've talked to me about their losses over the past few years. people that had lost loved ones during the pandemic. And some of those were due to COVID, and some of them were from other causes, but they couldn't sit with their loved ones in those final moments. I've talked with individuals that are trying to navigate a new world and are struggling to understand what it means, how they will live their life. Individuals who have lost jobs, and individuals that have returned to their spiritual communities, noticing that things are different and noticing that some of their friends are no longer there. It's been a challenging time for all of us. And I really believe that we need to stand together in this community as one and to support one another in the journey forward. And that really is the intention of this series. You see, it's really natural to feel the discomfort, the disorientation, the tenderness of the changes we are going through, and to feel overwhelmed and uncertain about how to navigate them. And this book by Karen Herring is a beautiful way to explore that. This book is based on 10 thresholding skills. And the first skill is about letting go. Letting go. Sometimes not our favorite spiritual practice. And yet letting go is a practice that's embraced by all faith traditions. And it is the primary focus of the mystical branches in all faith traditions. You see, the mystical path is about letting go completely. It is about surrender. It is about opening ourselves to the experience of God. Fully, completely. The intention in all the mystical traditions is complete, total, conscious, ongoing union with the divine. And the teachers in all the mystical traditions talk about how important, how essential letting go is to this process. Actually, they tend to use the word surrender, which might be a little more difficult to grab a hold of. But I want to be really clear about what surrender really means. You know, sometimes we hear the word surrender and we equate it with resignation. Resignation is about giving up. It's about being overwhelmed by the challenges we face and feeling powerless. And it can lead to despair and depression and hopelessness. Surrender, on the other hand, is about opening up. It's about allowing the full expression of the divine to have its way in us. Resignation means letting go completely and embracing the deeper dimensions of ourselves and the deeper dimensions of God. Through surrender, we acknowledge that life is something more, that we are something more, that our strengths and weaknesses, our likes and dislikes, this physical form, are not all of who we are. They're just a tiny bit of it. We are all something more because we are created to be the expressions of God. And so surrender is about welcoming and accepting change and the emotions and the responses to that change that might arise in us. It's completely opening up to the now moment and to the experience and allowing Spirit to take hold of us fully and completely. And oftentimes, surrender can happen in tiny baby steps over a period of time. Forgiveness is a form of surrender, and we all know the teachings on forgiveness. Jesus said, forgive 70 times 7. Keep letting go, keep forgiving, keep opening up until the work is done. I have had a personal experience over the past couple of years that was deeply disorienting, that created a lot of pain and stress and hurt. And over time, I have been slowly opening up, slowly taking it to prayer, slowly letting go, slowly forgiving. And a couple of weeks ago, there was another piece of that fell away. It was a piece that was anchored in my own unworthiness, my own not enoughness. And as I began to release that, I felt freer. I felt more present, more engaged, more available to Spirit, yes, for sure, but more present to the world around me, more connected to the people I spoke with, more connected to the beauty of the planet all around me, more open, and more able to navigate the kind of messiness of life with greater grace and ease. I welcome that experience, and I suspect there'll be other points along my journey that will challenge me, and I'll have to repeat it all over again, right? You know, Jesus in John 16:33 said, "These things I have spoken to you, that in me, in my state of consciousness, by embracing that consciousness in yourself, you will have peace. In the world you have trials and tribulations, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." Surrender is an experience of opening up. It is an experience of overcoming. And we know that Jesus' consciousness allowed him to fully engage with life, to be fully present to the world around them. He honored the trials and tribulations of the life journey, but he knew there was something more moving in, through, and as him, and in, through, and as the people he touched and interacted with. This is frequently spoken of as being in the world and not of it. And surrender is so essential to that because we live in a world of constant change. The Buddhists call this impermanence. Everything is in flux. Everything is always changing. Even these bodies are constantly changing. This skin that seems to hold us in is not really as solid, as static as it seems. It allows some things in, and it allows toxins to exit. And every cell, every skin cell, is replaced about once a month. So this container that seems so solid, not so much so. Change is the journey of life. The world is a world of form, but there is more to life than form. Charles Fillmore talks about it as substance. And he says that substance is the divine idea underlying the reality of all things. He says that substance underlies, undergirds all of manifestation. It is the spiritual essence, the living energy out of which everything is made. That is what you are really made of, not the skin. That is who you really are. And this world of form is essential for this life experience, but it is also malleable. It changes. The formless does not change. It underlies everything, and it cannot be contained, and it cannot be defined. But it is always about creating something new, something fresh, something more. And this is beautifully articulated in the mystic poet Rumi's words. He says that everything you see has its roots in the unseen world. The forms may change, yet the essence remains the same. Every wonderful sight will vanish. Every sweet word will fade. But do not be disheartened. The source they come from is eternal, growing, branching out, giving new life and new joy. Why do you weep? The source is within you, and the whole world is springing up from it. I guess the Sufis knew something about substance. Unity teaches that we are co-creators with God, that we are artists engaging with this spiritual substance, working in harmony with the universe. And, the creative journey, the creative work always has a bit of mystery, a bit of the unknown to it. It calls us to let go. It calls us to open up. It calls us to surrender so that we can tap into something more. I like the way jazz musician Benny Colson says it. He says that the creative person always walks 2 steps into the darkness. Everybody can see what's in the light. They can imitate it. They can underscore it. They can modify it. They can reshape it. The real heroes delve in the darkness of the unknown. It's where you discover other things. The darkness can be frightening, unsettling, uncertain. And the letting go into the darkness can open us more fully. It can allow us to truly be co-creators with God and to really realize our full potential as children of God. As I bring this to a close, I'd like to share some words from Rosemary Fillmore Ray, who was the granddaughter of the Fillmores. A very sweet, very connected. I mean, when you sat with Rosemary, there was nothing else. There was no one else there. And this is from the book A New Thought for a New Millennium. It's a compilation of a number of New Thought authors dealing with the new millennium, and it follows the 12 powers. Rosemary is talking about the power of renunciation, of release. She says the energy of creation is at work, moving us forward into new dimensions of our being. On one hand, we are excited about the future, but on another level, we want to cling to the past. We want to hold on to those things that make us feel safe and secure. However, we can only move forward by releasing, by renouncing those old concepts that keep us bound to our painful history. She goes on and talks about nature and living things and how they respond to change. She says all living things change, and many of the most wonderful changes in nature would seem terribly disturbing to the creatures going through them if those creatures thought as we do. Can you imagine what the crab might feel if it experienced human emotion when its skin was beginning to split down the back and it realized that its skin, its very own skin, had become too small? Can you imagine what the tadpole would say if it had human powers of thought and speech when it found its tail fading away and funny-looking legs sprouting from its body? What dismay might the larva of the monarch butterfly express if it were human, when its muscles grew heavy and it felt the urge to build its own coffin? What gives it the courage to seal itself into that coffin and compose itself for apparent death? It cannot know the exquisite winged creature that will split the coffin and come forth. The crab, the tadpole, and the infant butterfly are creatures governed by the laws of nature by instinct. They are in tune with the transforming energy of creation, so they flow with the natural inclination of life. They open up, they surrender, they let go, they allow that transformation to occur. And that same transformation is constantly occurring in each one of us. And we have the opportunity, the privilege to consciously join with that transformative energy and to allow it to express in, through, and as us. So my invitation to you is to maintain an awareness of that threshold, to constantly open yourself up to the newness of life that is seeking expression to you. And as you exit the doors today, to know that you are carrying the very essence of God with you out into the world. As you enter your homes, know that you are opening to something new and saying yes to each and every step of that journey. You are magnificent creations of the divine, and the world needs you to give full expression to that. God bless.
Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I circulate, and I am grateful.